Welcome to the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome into the show, everyone. My name is Matt High. I'm your host for this evening, and I'm joined tonight by Chris Felice. We are the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. Gonna ask right in the beginning, if everyone could do us a huge favor, go into the comment section below, post a comment with a question, anything. Like, share, subscribe. We really want to hear from our listeners and viewers on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. We're basically everywhere. So we're trying to get a little bit more out there. You can follow along on our X account at the Heroes FF. We're on YouTube and everywhere. So please do us a favor. It really helps us out. Gets us a little bit more views and help everyone out win their fantasy leagues. So, Chris, how are we doing?
Doing good. You know, nothing too crazy. I'm watching my, keeping up with the Yanks. You know, as they're up currently 5. Here, I'll tell you. I'll give you the exact what we got here. Okay, they're currently up 5-0. It's the end of the 4th right now, going in the top of the 5th, going up to defense now. So hopefully we keep that going.
How sad are you going to be when this episode drops tomorrow? We're recording this Wednesday night. It's going to drop on Halloween, and everyone's going to see the Yankees lose. And you were in the beginning of the show saying, "Oh, we're great! It's awesome."
If the Yankees blow this, I'm trying my hardest to keep myself contained. Be like, don't celebrate too early. Don't. But I'm having a great time watching. You had some good offense. We got to keep it going. But besides the point, I'll be really sad if we somehow blow it. But I'm gonna not. That's not gonna happen. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. Okay, yeah. Moving on from the Yankees.
Let's get to the good sport. We're gonna talk about some fantasy football. I'm not a baseball guy. This is a football podcast. That's the only baseball talk we're gonna have. I promise, because I do not like talking about it. But it is, when you're listening to this show, it is Halloween. Okay, so we are gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna do some fantasy trick or treat. So we're each going to give a player, and we're going to give a couple, ideas and say if they're going to be a trick the rest of the season or if they're going to be a treat. So why don't we dive into it? Welcome to Fantasy Trick or Treat. All right, Chris. That was fun. I enjoyed making that.
It was pretty good.
You go first. I want to hear what you do first.
So, I have a trick up my sleeve. I have Joe Flacco as my trick for the rest of the season. Now, allow me to explain a little bit as to why. I'm going to try my hardest to contain Matt High from giving his input. However, my thought process on Joe Flacco is very simple. Yes, he looks good for now, right? But I've done this before, right? And while there were circumstances that happened, every single time a backup quarterback comes in, for the most part, it always starts out well. Especially the more experienced they are. That's usually kind of how that works. But at some point, that magic goes away. The really, really big issue for you as a fantasy manager holding Joe Flacco, maybe considering starting him, is he might do good next week. He might do good the week after. There's a chance because of his experience he does good for a decent amount of time. But we are heading into fantasy playoffs, right? And we're heading to games that matter a lot, right? You might do good in the next 2 weeks. After that third week in, defenses are going to start figuring it out. And that's the last thing you want. You do not want to trust that at all. In the slightest. That is when picks start to happen. Fumbles. The line starts to crumble because he's playing weirdly. You definitely do not want to trust that going into the final weeks where it might matter most. You'd rather have a guy, right, who's just going to consistently get you. Like if you have a quarterback gets you like 15 to like 19 points, you might be okay with that over Joe Flacco, who might get you 26 points one week, but then 6 points the next if you try to trust him again. Okay, you don't want 6 points at your quarterback. That loses you a week. Okay, so trust me when I say this. Okay, as fun as it is to have Joe Flacco slinging the ball again, I totally get it. Put it on the side of caution, okay? Just be wary. Look for somebody else down. If you're really struggling at quarterback, look for somebody else. I'm sure there are plenty of candidates. I mean, we talked about Matt Stafford. He's in plenty of leagues right now. He got dropped a lot. That's a fantastic candidate. He's playing some horrific defenses down the line. Just saying. Look elsewhere for a longevity point of view.
Agreed. According to Fantasy Pros, strength of schedule for the Colts. Now, this applies to. It was going to apply to Anthony Richardson too if he was still the starter. They have the fourth hardest strength of schedule. They're going up against some real tough defenses. It ain't going to be pretty. And I know it's fun. You know, Joe Flacco, 30, 40 pass attempts per game. It's going to be fun. But he's also not good. He hasn't done well. He's done better. But that's a relative term. He is not good. The Colts are not winning the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. And if you think that, I apologize. You are being lied to.
I'm going to step in here. You're doing it again. You're doing it again. I can feel your rage.
Watch. We have an episode dropping on Friday, so if you want to hear the long version of this conversation, because we went into it, tune into that show. It'll drop. Go on our YouTube, click the bell after you subscribe, of course, and you'll get notified when we have episodes like that dropping. Because I say my piece. I think I leave everything out on the line there. So I'm going to dive in here now. We're going to go on the other side. We're going to get a treat. I want to give everyone a fantasy football treat. We're going to talk about Rachaad White, and this also applies to Bucky Irving, the Bucks running backs. This team lost Chris Godwin. They do not have Mike Evans currently, sidelined with that hamstring injury. Most likely he'll be back in a couple more weeks. But Cade Otton apparently is the dude now. You know, I think he's a top 5 tight end the rest of the season based on just what he was able to do with the increase in target share. But let's not also forget, this team likes to throw the ball a lot, and Rachaad White is a pass-catching running back. It looked a little bleak earlier in the year where his running efficiency numbers were really low, and Bucky Irving came in and looked better. He's the better-looking running back. But Baker Mayfield likes to check the ball down a lot, and this is going to play right into Rachaad White's hands. He is going to be a solid flex. Missing some wide receiver players who are integral for this offense, this is a spot where it's going to be important to have an outlet like Rachaad White, like Cade Otton, and Bucky Irving. They're going to be in a really, really good situation. And in fact, they have looks like the 5th or 6th best rest of season schedule. It's going to be amazing watching what they're going to be able to do. They have a bye in week 11. Out of the bye, they get the Giants. We're Giants fans. We know that's a good matchup. They get the Panthers. Amazing matchup. Then they go get the Raiders. Also a really good matchup. They have one tough matchup going against the Chargers. They get the Dallas defense, who might at that point be a little bit better, but they were still pretty bad on the run before they had their players back. And, oh, wait, championship week. Who do they have again? The Carolina Panthers. What else could you want for a running back on a team that has a juicy, juicy schedule like this and missing other weapons? So he's going to be used a ton. So Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, you can put this to all of the Bucks. Go out, acquire Bucks players. I just did from Chris. I just traded for Rachaad White and Sean Tucker. So it's a good idea. It's going to pay off. This is one of the things where every year we see some of these strengths of schedules and we're like, you got to do it because it's going to happen. This is one of those. Mark it down. The Bucks are going to go on a heater at the end of the year. Tons and tons of fantasy points are going to be scored. Make them happen on your team, not on someone else's.
Yeah, I'll say this really fast about Rachaad White specifically. He's very easily at least an RB2 in my opinion. The pass catching ability is so good there, especially with those 2 wide receivers gone, as you said. Very, very easily could go from like a guy that was like a little like he was very middling coming into like the middle of the season is now all of a sudden like I would argue a powerhouse. A lot of people kind of have him on the bench. You're gonna start seeing those projections come up every week for Rachaad White as he keeps going. So that's all I'll say about that. We can move on.
All right, we're going to dive into our starts of the week. So let's dive right. All right, Chris, why don't you start first with your quarterback start of the week?
So my quarterback start of the week here is Matthew Stafford. I don't feel like I have to justify this too much against the Vikings. 34 attempts, 25 completions, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, interception, 28.55 fantasy points. Next week going up against the worst defense in Seattle. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp is back. Kyren Williams is online. Yeah, I don't have to, I feel like I don't have to justify this. We talked about this on the waiver show. He was very, very available. I'm playing him right now. I'm actually playing him in a couple leagues as well. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I feel like that justification enough. What do you think?
I like it. My only hesitation, I mean, this week, yeah, definitely. This week, 100%. Week after, do we expect a trade with Cooper Kupp or anyone? I mean, that's the only thing for his long-term end of season that I'm kind of worried about. But if he loses Cooper Kupp, you think you're
if he loses Cooper
done
Kupp,
with him?
that's I wouldn't say I'm done on the Stafford train. I would just he goes back to streaming quarterback. I think right now he could be a very good start under most scenarios. I'm looking at the schedule here. There's only a couple defenses I'd be worried about starting him into. Most notably, I got the Jets defense at week 16. I have the Saints defense at week 13. I might be a little hesitant to start them against. But besides that, I feel pretty confident for the most part. If you lose Cup, streaming, but for now, I'm only gonna focus on this week for the time being at the very least. I'll hope that Cooper Kupp doesn't leave the Rams, but we'll see.
I'd like if he goes to the Texans. I think that'd be fun. But
That would be so weird.
it would be
That
cool.
would be
It'd be cool.
so weird.
It'd be great for Stroud, which I have Stroud a lot of places, so I would love that. But I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm going to move in here, and I'm going to give my quarterback start of the week. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, you heard it right. Patrick Mahomes is now a streaming quarterback, and he is my start this week. You never thought, like, go back 2 years, even last year. This would be crazy. You're like, oh, well, of course you're going to start Patrick Mahomes. But this year, you kind of have to play the matchups with him. And this is where the matchup lines up. He lost his wide receivers. He lost his starting running back. Signed Kareem Hunt off his couch. I don't know what they're doing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But this week, he gets a juicy, juicy matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. And they've been giving it up to the quarterback position, allowing the most fantasy points at 23 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. They also allow the fourth most tight end points, and with the number one target being Kelsey there, I think they should both eat. So this could possibly be a week that we actually see a ceiling game from Patrick Mahomes. I know that sounds nuts.
Yo, is this Matt?
Yeah.
Is this
Last
you?
week.
Hello? What, did someone hurt you?
I think last week was the first time he hit 20 points since like December, I think Christmas last year. Like, that's not good. He has not been a good fantasy quarterback, but this week you can trust him. Okay? Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if many people are kind of like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes, let's start him every week. But if you did that, there's a chance you're in the bottom of your league standings, or fighting for a playoff spot with not a lot of points scored. So because you had to still draft him super high, he was drafted as like the third or fourth quarterback. So again, we're not going to get into it. Don't draft quarterbacks early. We can leave it at that. But why don't you give your running back?
Yeah. So I got Brian Robinson going up against the Giants this week. Yes, our favorite Giants.
Worked out pretty
I
good
do
last week for Najee.
True, very true. Yeah, I have here that he's dealing with a hamstring injury, even though he practiced today. Limited, but still practiced. We've been told that this knee injury that he had is behind him, so now this thing appears. I'm assuming this is not on the serious side. Otherwise, I would not be saying this right now, right? If it does end up being more serious than it actually is, we'll kind of we'll backtrack a little bit here. But if he does play, and I'm gonna go for even if he's at like 90% efficiency, I'm gonna go touchdown guarantee here. On Brian Robinson against the Giants. I mean, like it's unfortunate that we have fallen so far, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Brian with the Giants defense in general. So yeah, Brian Robinson touchdown guarantee. I'm slamming it down now, but yeah, there I am.
I think I was actually putting in some parlays with some B-Rob TDs for bets this week, so I like that a lot. I think he's a lock for that too. Chase Brown is going to be my running back start of the week going against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, he's starting to take over as the lead running back in Cincy. He's still around 50% snap share, but he leads the running back room by almost 20% from a touch percentage point of view. The offense might seem to stall out at times, but I think Brown has been quietly really having a great season. He's ranked third over the past 5 weeks in broken tackle rate and tied for first with red zone targets. So this play is pretty simple. Good running back, getting more work on an offense that needs a solid run game and has a weekly chance of hitting the end zone. He's an RB2 with upside this week against the Raiders, who by themselves, they're actually allowing over 20 points to opposing running backs on the season. So Chase Brown, I think, is one of these guys. I don't know if he's going to, I'm not putting the touchdown guarantee on him, but he will always have that capability because Joe Burrow is confident using him in the red zone. The Bengals are starting to shift away from Zach Moss a little bit. Maybe not on pass protection. I think he needs to work on that. That's why he won't be. That's why most running backs, honestly, aren't going to be 3-down running backs because it's a skill you either have or you don't. It's hard to kind of learn it. So I think that's part of maybe the ceiling case why it's not always there. But I mean, he looks good. He passes the eye test for me, so I am willing to put him in my lineup. In fact, I am doing so this week.
Okay, fair enough. With that being said, I'm going to jump right into the wide receiver portion here. I got Cedrick Tillman as my start for the week. Now, this is more of a flex play, I think. While, yes, he had a fantastic week last week and also the week before against Cincinnati, there's a part of me that does worry still. So I'm not all in on this. Not yet, at least. Not yet. But definitely enough for a flex play. Maybe a fringe wide receiver, too. He's going up against the Chargers, a much better defense here. They've been very good. So this will be a real test to see if this target share remains the same under this new, under a new test here, right, with the Chargers. So I'll be interested to see how they kind of continue on going here.
Yeah, I just want to give a little pat on my back, victory lap for last week. I hope you all listened and played him because he looked fantastic. I know that last play, the game-winning touchdown, was pretty awesome. But Cedrick Tillman is just getting work. I know the Chargers defense is a lot better, and a lot of that, it's not that they're a really good defense. It's just that they don't win that way. They would rather drain the clock and make you snail mail it the whole way through a game and limit pass attempts. So that's just the way. That's their MO. That's what they're going to do. So I think having Jameis as the quarterback is going to be great because he's not going to care what game script you're playing. He's just going to be like, I'm just going to chuck it. Someone's going to catch it. So I like that. My wide receiver start of the week is going to be Jordan Addison going against the Indianapolis Colts. I think this has squeaky wheel game written all over it for Jordan Addison. He's been vocal. He wants to be used more in the offense, and he's going to force Kevin O'Connell to give him a few extra looks this game, and it's a very beatable defense. Darnold is second amongst quarterbacks in deep ball completions at 58%. He's also second in yards per attempt on deep balls and third in deep ball passing yards. So Addison is a big play wide receiver who ranks fourth among wide receivers with 7 or more balls of 20-plus yards on the season. So this is going to be a game where they're going to take some shots because they can. And if Joe Flacco, I mean, this is a game, it could be pretty high scoring because I know the Minnesota defense is pretty good, but they can get beat through the air, it seems. And I think this is going to be a game where everyone's hoping Joe Flacco is that dude. He's going to come out and just sling the rock and put up some numbers. And if that's the case, this could end up being somewhat closer of a shootout. And I think Jordan Addison is going to be involved. Now, a little bit of cold water, maybe, because TJ Hawkinson is projected to start this week for the first time coming off his injury. So maybe the ceiling isn't super, super high. Maybe some of the targets they get him in, but I don't expect them to just immediately start peppering him with targets and making him a focal point of the offense. I think that comes in a couple weeks. So with this week, just start Jordan. Just do it.
Fair enough. Makes sense. I'm going to move us along into our favorite position, the tight end. I got Tucker Kraft at the tight end here. I gotta be honest, it's getting really hard to choose ones every week. I got Tucker Kraft for a couple reasons. One, I'm throwing it down now, the touchdown guarantee. I don't think it's worth starting him if you don't think he's going to get the touchdown. So, hope, believe. That's what I'm going to go with. Up against the Detroit Lions, divisional game, a lot of rivalry stuff going on. Sparks are going to fly. Jordan Love is going to definitely diversify the targets like he always does. Or whoever. I think Jordan Love is on track for playing this week, right?
All the news I see is that he could start, but I don't know if he will. I think even with Malik Willis, he proved to be capable.
He looked fine. Yeah, he looked fine.
Which is weird to say, too.
Yeah, right. So I'm a little more hesitant of doing this if it's Malik Willis, and I wouldn't blame you if you don't listen to me if Malik Willis is one starting. If it's Jordan Love, start him with confidence. He'll get a touchdown. If Malik Willis is the guy in there, maybe look a different direction, but I think I'm still starting Tucker Kraft if I don't see like another valid option.
No, I mean, Tucker Kraft is also, he's a safety blanket for the quarterback position. That's a lot of times what we see with tight ends. Look at what Cade Otton just did. They were able to just connect because they're like, all right, well, someone's got to catch the ball, and Tucker Kraft has looked really, really good this year. So I like that pick. The Lions, this could be, maybe will be more of, if Jordan Love plays, obviously that's better, but you're also going to know, I think, early enough that you can pivot if you had to. So I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts going against the Dallas Cowboys as my tight end start of the week. And are we finally here? Is this it? Is this real life?
Is it his season? Is it his season?
Finally. Is it really the time that we've all been waiting for where Kyle Pitts is a top tight end option week in, week out? Since week 5, he is the tight end 2 in fantasy football. With those 4 games played, he is on pace, a 17-game pace for 115 targets, 90 receptions, 1,300 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That might be a little bit nitpicky on my part, but there's no rules when it comes to tight ends. We just look for targets, and he's been getting them.
Listen, all my Kyle Pitts truthers, you did it. You lasted, and now you're reaping the rewards. Congratulations.
Just everyone, go watch Independence Day. And you know the scene I'm talking about. The "We will not go quietly into the night." That is what you did. So congratulations, round of applause for you. But going back to this week's matchup, we all just watched George Kittle absolutely destroy the Dallas Cowboys, right? Because that happened, and it was glorious. It was a lot of fun. Pitts is just simply on a heater right now, and you can't sit him. I know this is everything in my we've been told in the past. We've been here before. But you got to start him because he's looked good. Cousins has looked good. The Falcons have looked good. Just start him. I'm saying this, and I know what's going to happen because this is what Kyle Pitts does to us.
Oh,
He will have all these, and then he goes out with like a 80% target share and 2 targets and no catches, and we're all sad. But start him. It's tight end. What do you got to lose?
True. No, very true.
Yeah. All right. I guess hopefully we're not getting too sad with Kyle Pitts, but speaking of sad, we're going to go into our sits of the week. All right, who we sitting?
Yeah, so I got Zay Flowers for no other reason other than Pat Surtain. I feel like that's a fine reason to sit him in the first place. But also the Deontay Johnson thing, mix it up a little bit. So between the two of those elements together, like I said before, I don't think Deontay Johnson is going to usurp by any means this position at all from Zay Flowers. But including with the Surtain factor, I think I'm going to fade from him this week.
Yeah, I think so too. Do we know? I'm actually looking right now. Do we know if Surtain is playing? I don't know if Pat Surtain is.
I believe he is.
Okay, I thought.
Yeah.
Let me see. Nothing so
If he isn't,
far.
ignore everything I just said. But
yeah, I don't see anything about him. But just keep an eye out because if he doesn't play, it might not be bad. But
no,
if he does,
play,
100%. Surtain is no. You don't screw him because he's gonna put you in the ground. Definitely excellent call. For me, it's going to be sad because I really, really like this player, but I'm going to choose CJ Stroud. Going against the Jets on Halloween night. Jets are in a full tailspin right now, but their defense is still able to take away the big play. They're still able to manage the quarterbacks and wide receivers. I mean, Sauce Gardner, he had a couple bad plays last week, but still, if anything, that's going to make him better this game. And unfortunately, for Tank Dell, it's probably not going to be fun to play him this week. So you can also put that in here too. I think this will end up being, they're going to want to run Joe Mixon because Joe Mixon right now is the heart and soul of this team. They do way better when he's on the field than when he was out.
I remember you doubting.
Yeah, I know.
For the season.
Stay water, people. You got to flow. Got to flow. You learn things. We're 8 weeks in. We got data to back things up. So sometimes the data doesn't support original thoughts. But hey, here we are. That's why we do the show because we learn things, and what we learn, we pass to you. So
what we learn is that I am right. No.
On that, yeah, but there's a couple of things. We'll have to do a show soon about, taking victory laps and whatnot, because there's a couple things I want to talk about. I got a couple big things I got a lot of heat for that turns out I was right. So I want to make you guys say it on air.
Sorry, that was a low blow. I'm sorry, that was low. That was low. Continue.
Kyron Williams.
I'll give you that. Yeah, Kyron. Yeah.
The true RB1. But back to CJ Stroud. It's not the week to play him. I have him in a couple leagues, and I'm forced to play him just because they're super flex, and I have no quarterbacks that I can get. But you really, really got to temper expectations. If you have him and you could pick up a Bo Nix, or I'd even play Joe Flacco over him if I had him, because I do think the matchup is going to be better and he's going to have his weapons. It's just, it doesn't look good. And what we've seen from CJ Stroud so far is if he doesn't have his top wide receiver option, or at least 2 good options, he can't really overcome a bad matchup so far. And when this goes back to last season as well, he had that trouble as well. So it's not like a nail in the coffin for him. He's going to be fine when he figures it out. He's getting his wide receivers back healthy, minus Stephon Diggs. They're going to figure things out. I have no doubt. I like the head coach. I like the offensive game plan. It's just not the week to do it. This is not the time or the place to play him. So, any other guys that you think we should be worried about this week?
Worried?
Devontae Adams. Is he someone? Same game. Let's just stick with that. I want to get your thoughts on him because he came in. We expected him to just forget the last 2 years. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Green Bay. They're just moving it forward. Doesn't seem to be the case. I don't know what's going on with the Jets. They should not be losing.
I'll say this about the Jets, dude. I'm not. It's hard for me to trust Devontae Adams. It really is. It's hard for me to trust the Jets in general. I think Garrett Wilson is okay. Definitely not a wide receiver one at this point, which is a very painful thing to hear right now. But it's like if the only thing he has going with him right now is the fact that he's getting the most targets. Like he had that one game with like, what was it? Like 20? Someone saying like
20 targets.
Yeah, he only converted like 12
11
of them.
11 of them.
11? Yeah, like if that's how they're doing good, no, so I wouldn't trust it. I mean, if you have to, go for it, but it feels really bad.
I'm looking at Fantasy Pros Week 9 rankings, the consensus rankings, and he's wide receiver 14 right now.
That feels a little high.
That's very high for me.
Yeah, that feels. I would go like wide receiver. I'll go 23.
Chris Olave or Devontae Adams. Chris Olave or Devontae Adams. The Saints get Carolina. Derek Carr might be back.
If he's back, I think I'll pick Olave.
Okay.
I think.
A little bit deeper now. Darnell Mooney against the Cowboys or Devontae Adams?
I gotta be honest with you. Everyone has Mooney fever. I don't have Mooney fever. Okay.
The wide receiver 12 on the season. He looks great. He's having a great year.
I know, but I can't. Like, how could it
more for me? That's
my
fine.
fiber. But I'm still starting Darnell Mooney over. Like even after all that I just said, like it just feels so weird.
You besmirch the man and then still pick him, man.
I absolutely.
Jeez. All right.
It's my game, dude.
Yeah, I see.
Funny.
But Kareem Hunt. I'm just kind of going through. I want to get your thoughts because these are things that people are going to have to make. RB2 flex. We'll look at those kind of guys. Rico Dowdle against the Atlanta Falcons or Nick Chubb.
Who's Nick Chubb against?
Chubb gets the Chargers.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough. How did you do last week?
Not very good.
Not very good?
I don't believe so. His stats, he had 5.2 fantasy points. RB 43 was his weekly finish, 16 attempts for 52 yards, 3.3 a carry. He's averaging under 3 yards a carry, which is expected because he had a catastrophic knee injury. So don't say that I'm thinking he sucks because of that, but still, it's this is what we see when running backs get injured.
Man, if you have to start either of these guys, I'm so sorry.
I like Dowdle.
I really
think
am.
he's going to be good. I think Dowdle's going to play.
Yeah, I think Dowdle, just because he's going up against the worst defense, and I think has like a better chance of not blowing up in your face. But I'm still not excited about playing Dowdle like at all, like in the slightest.
He's more of a flex for me with RB2 upside, but yeah. All right, I think we ran through a decent amount of things today, so why don't we sign off? So, again, thank you for listening to the show. Happy Halloween. I will be going trick-or-treating with my daughter and my wife tomorrow, and probably sneaking the game on my phone as we're getting candy. So for all you parents out there, I want to know what you do. This is one of the first years we're really going a little bit further because, my daughter's 5 now, so we can go a little bit further because she can walk and not get as tired. So how much of a candy tax do you charge your kid to walk around? I want to know that. So go in the comments. I want to know. Oh, you have to do that. Come on. Like, you got to tell them, I'm bringing you around.
That's so fun. How much are you charging? How much are you charging?
Really I'm a little limited because I'm allergic to peanuts, even though I love Reese's peanut butter cups. Not a sponsor, but I wish they could. I love them. I just
Man, if we were
can't
sponsored by Reese's, hit us up. Hit us up. Let's do something together.
It really depends on what the candy is. I don't know. We just moved here, so I don't know where exactly the best houses are. When you're a kid, you're like, oh, I know exactly. I'm going to that house because they got full size.
You don't scout?
Not really.
You don't do interviews? Go door to door? It's like, hey, what type of candy do you give out on Halloween? Like,
yeah. But yeah, please. I want to know.
Time?
I want to know what the other parents do. So please leave that in the comment section below, or if you think I'm crazy for asking it, I want to hear that too. All right, that's gonna wrap things up for us tonight. Good luck in your week 9. So long and have some fun.
See you around.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football podcast. Follow us on Twitter at TheHeroesFF.